Hello, my name is Yewande. I'm a writer and a knitter based in Johannesburg. Welcome to Knitting the Blues. Hi everyone, thanks for coming back. If you are familiar with this podcast and if you're brand new, thanks for stopping by. It's just great to be talking to you. I have a few things I wanted to just share about and update and talk about with you. So let's just jump into this episode. I have my notebook here and I have the things that I want to talk about and raise. I want to talk about what it was like. My last video that I posted was an interview of Mincy van Zyl, who is the creator and yarn dyer behind Knotty Habit. Very early on when I did my first podcast, I said, I really want this podcast to also be about talking to people in the yarn community here and in the knitting community and fiber community in South Africa. And Mincy van Zyl was one of the people I wanted to connect with because I am familiar with her yarn. I've used her yarn before. In fact, I'm wearing one of the pieces. I'll talk about it shortly. And so she was somebody I really wanted to connect with. Noma Ndlovu, who is a knitwear designer based in Johannesburg, is another person that I want to connect with. And hopefully we'll get to speak in September. Don't want to jinx it, but we have been exchanging potential dates and making plans. So I hope it happens so that very soon I can bring that interview. But yes, Mincy was the first person I got to interview. She was amazing. I think it was a wonderful conversation and I posted it. If you haven't seen it, check it out. If you have, thank you for watching. And I hope it was as inspiring for you to watch as it was for me to conduct the interview, engage with Mincy and put the video together and post it here. It's interesting. I guess, I'm a writer. I love stories, but there's just something I find interesting about loving something like a fiber or a yarn or being interested in a company or a person's designs and then going behind that initial way of connecting with them, which is their work or their designs or their fiber, and understanding the stories behind that and understanding the person a little better and knowing how they've come along and the kind of route they took and what it means. So that's my jam. So there's going to be a lot of that hopefully happening here. Mincy taught me so much. I mean, there was a lot that I couldn't even get into, but I was interested in the way she talked about the industry here. She talked about, we have 2 mills apparently in South Africa, and I started, doing my thing and researching and understanding about these mills, and I would love to visit these mills and speak to people behind some of these mills. And so, I don't know, my mind was just like, ooh, there's so much to explore. She talked about, we talked a little bit about the industry. I knit for fun and I knit for the joy of it and I knit for my own sanity. And I think I've talked about in my first episode my relationship to knitting. But one of the ways I relate to knitting as well is that it is of the world. It's not something set away from the world. And so I was interested with Mincy to talk a bit about the fiber industry in South Africa and where does knitting fit in? We have this interesting history where we actually are the world's largest mohair producers. South Africa, guys, warm as it is. We produce, I think, 51% of the world's mohair. Like, what? Like, how is that? How does that come to be? And I'm interested in like, what does that mean for us as a country in terms of our economy, in terms of the fact that we are, we're job poor, we're employment poor, we're looking for ways to inject employment and possibility and creation into a country that is chock full of creativity and enthusiasm and young people, but sometimes but maybe missing in other things. So anyway, I went down a whole small little minor rabbit hole reading about the Department of Trade and Industry and the ways in which they look at the textile and fabric industry. Anyway, I'm nerd extraordinaire. So things like that, I just want to go into and read and understand and have the opportunity to interview people. And you can't interview everybody. And of course, I have my day jobs. I say jobs because I have a bunch of other things that I have to do, including, keep the lights on. But anyway, I was just fascinated. She talked as well about the yarn festival. So I know, watching all the podcasters now in the Northern Hemisphere, they've been to whatever the names are of all their yarn festivals. And I've been like, but we have yarn festivals here as well. So she told me about the Cape Town Yarn Festival, which I think happens next year in May. So I've kind of put a little quiet date in my head. I used to live in Cape Town. In fact, I grew up in Cape Town. So I have a wonderful community of friends there, and I thought, okay, I could go to Cape Town in May, and if I'm still podcasting in May next year, I would, record the process. And then we just had a yarn festival in the Karoo, which is, I think it's called the Karoo Wool Festival. I might be wrong. And that looked amazing. So I want to talk about another South African podcaster that did a really full kind of I don't want to call it retrospective, but did a whole vlog on the Wool Festival. And I'll put a link to her podcast because I enjoyed watching it. In fact, Mincy sent me there. She said, go and check out this podcaster. And she did this whole thing, this whole vlog on the festival. And I actually watched it with my children. With my they're 5 years old, my two sons. And we don't watch a whole lot. I guess I just don't think children should be in front of screens. But they caught me at a moment where I was watching it, early one Sunday morning, and they came and joined me in bed, and I thought, okay, it's just a few minutes, let's watch it together. They were riveted. They were like, Mama, you need to take us there. And they were telling me all the things they liked. And I do need to say, when there was a scene where they showed, I think, some of Naughty Habits' neon range, and they were like, she's got UV wool. I thought that was such a wonderful way of describing it. So that was fun. Check out that podcaster and check out her vlog about the Karoo Wool Festival here in South Africa. Another thing I wanted to do, I was busy going over what I wanted to do. So I wanted to talk about Mincy, which I've done. I wanted to give you an update on my works in progress. I thought I would have some finished objects for you. I actually have one finished object, let me not lie. And then I've got mostly works in progress and ideas. And then at the end of the podcast, I'm going to do an update on the cowl that I launched that I'm very excited about, called the Every Beret Knit Along. And I'll do an update on that shortly with a surprise announcement about the cowl. So yeah, a little hook to keep you watching. Or of course, you can just forward ahead. We all know that trick. Oh, but before all of that, let me talk about what I'm wearing. So what am I wearing? I'm wearing the Classic Silk Open Cardi. It is by Pam Allen. I made this, I can tell you when I made it. I made it, I would say 2-3 months into my knitting garments life. I was kind of wary of cardigans at the time. I thought, no, I don't want anything with buttons. It was pretty warm. So that's probably why. I was knitting it in November last year. And I just wanted something light and open. I'm sitting down so you can't really see a lot of the details, so I will put some pictures there so that you can. And I searched and I searched and I searched, and I found this pattern. It's a beautiful pattern. I'll read you a little bit about it. It is knit, the pattern says DK weight. I didn't use DK weight yarn because I just didn't know any better, but it worked out regardless. We'll get to the yarn in a moment. But the pattern itself is knitted with DK weight yarn. The gauge is 19 stitches and 29 rows for a 10 centimeter length and breadth of stockinette stitch. She knits it, or suggests you knit it in using 4.5 millimeter needles for the main body and 3.75 for the ribbing. And it's size inclusivity. I mean, it's an extra small to a double XL. I understand that that's not particularly inclusive in terms of sizing. And it trades for $6 US on $6 US, whichever version you want. But for 6 is the main number on Ravelry. The finished measurements go from 30 inches to just under 45 inches. Including the front band. It is an open cardigan, so I wonder if that has anything to do with the fact that it's not going to the XXXX level of sizes, but size inclusivity is important. She knits it in Classic Silk by Classic Elite. This is a 50% cotton, 30% silk, and 20% nylon fiber. Many of the fibers that I mentioned, on Ravelry, they're just not available to me. So I always I pretty much ignore that. I definitely ignored it back then because I just didn't know any better. And what I ended up doing was it's the first time, I interviewed Mincy last week, but it was, this was one of the first fibers I bought from her. I remember going to her store and just seeing this beautiful, natural colored. I mean, I feel like mine's gotten a little cooler over the few months that I've washed it, whatever, once or twice. But it was just such a beautiful tone, and it was sitting there, and it's soft, 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 soft. Now, this is her blend. It's her linen viscose merino wool blend. It's a single ply. And it's fingering, or it's even light fingering. I ended up knitting mine. Let me see if I wrote it down. It was early days. Oh my goodness. I say I knitted it in 5mm. I mean, I guess I did. It is super, let's see. It is a bit gapey. I love it. I love the fabric that it made. But it's a loose fabric. It's for summer. The fact that it's viscose and linen means that it's quite drapey and very light. I don't know if you can hear the lawnmower in the back. I apologize if you can. I hope it's not bothering the quality of your listening too much. Thanks for bearing with me. So yeah, I knitted in 5mm. And I know that at the time I didn't fully understand everything there was to understand about about the needle and the gauge but I mean, I have this garment, so I knit this in November. I still have it all this time later, and I'm still wearing it and loving it. I wanted to read one of my notes. I have quite a few notes for this one. So the last note I made, I'm going to read it if you don't mind. I put this one on so I started this on the 7th of November, and I was done by the 19th. Not bad. Sorry, I'm jumping around a little bit. Bear with me. I will go back to the pattern in a moment because there's certain elements I love about it. But I guess let me start with the last note. So on the 19th, when I cast off, I said, definitely the fiddliest thing I've knit. My fault, being a bit of a beginner, not really understanding that it was knit in pieces and seamed. I won't be doing that again! ! For the set-in sleeves, I tried doing it by hand, but within a few minutes realized I was not going to manage. I used my Elna machine and it turned out okay. There are definitely faults. Or what I mean is, it's not perfect. But I will wear it and love it. My favorite parts were the lace and the lovely ribbing band, which I finished with tubular bind-off for neatness. So that gives you a sense of this pattern. So this pattern, I wonder if you can see. I mean, so it's pretty straightforward. But the point is that it was knit in pieces. And I was early on and I hadn't understood how to read some of the ways that Ravelry tells you what to expect in a pattern. I was desperate to just find an open cardi that would work with this light wool that I'd acquired. And so I saw that one and thought, okay, I'll go with that one. But if I'd read carefully or understood how to, find the attributes of a pattern, I'll have seen that it said seamed. By the way, ever since, I always check. I made the pieces. It knits up quickly. So I'm trying to remember now, so you make you make the sleeve, you make the other sleeve, you make this front. Let me think. You make the front, you make the other front, and you make the back. This ribbing bit, which is so lovely, because I love ribbing. This ribbing bit you do very last. So when you're knitting the front, you knit the lace and then the stockinette. And then the ribbing you do very last when you pick up and then you knit the ribbing all the way around. I love ribbing, so it was an absolute pleasure, and I think it is one by one. It is one by one ribbing, and it's not through the back loop or anything like that. It's just ribbing, I think, if I remember correctly. I had never seamed anything, and I remember distinctly, I remember making a mistake. And this is something I wonder if you feel the same way. These days, tinking back or frogging doesn't feel intimidating. But I think in the early days, Like I knew I'd made a mistake, I'd counted wrong or something. So it wasn't going to be even, or I decreased the wrong way somehow with the front. Something had happened. And that made seaming really difficult. And I probably didn't use the markers I should have. Something had gone off so that I was trying to get something to fit that couldn't fit. I think in the pattern, she wants you to, would it be Kitchener stitch? Because you're supposed to seam it, using your hand. But in trying to seam it, it was so messy, it was kind of tedious. And I just thought, this isn't going to work. And so I seamed it with it's actually my mom's sewing machine that I've had all these years. And I got it out and I decided to seam it. I had to block it aggressively and get it into shape and seam it. It's not tidy. It's not a tidy seaming. Maybe I'll try. It's hard to show you while I'm wearing it. I'll try and take some pictures just to be honest with you and show you a little how messy the seaming is. And I can even show you in the underarms. It's not the tidiest seaming. There's your seaming the arm. It's not at all the tidiest seaming. And listen, there's an actual hole somewhere in the seaming because I had to jimmy it somehow. But do you know that I love this thing? Regardless, do you know that I love it? And what is that about? Like, I don't know. We wear our Frankensteins. It's like it's just. Maybe it's also my temperament. I'm just not, I can be perfectionist about certain things, but I also recognize that beauty lives in many places that are imperfect. And I think beauty lives here. I love this thing. This was my first kind of lace, I don't know about first, but early lace experience. I just love that. Look at that. And then I love what it's knit in. It's knit in this wonderful fabric. At one point, and the sleeves were a little snug. I don't know if that's me, but because I had done wrong things, I had to go deeper into my seaming, to have enough of an edge when you seam. So I pulled, but it's worked out. I don't mind this at all. I don't mind this at all. In early days, in caring for this yarn, I wondered if it was going to pill too much. It settled into a comfortable fuzz. I wouldn't say it pills crazy. And then I also worry that because it was single ply, does that mean that it's not as tough as it could be? Does single ply pill more? But I wear this and love it. I'm sort of pulling off little bolichis, as we say, but I love it. I wondered if it would not age well, and look a bit drab. But I don't think so. I think it looks nice and I love it very much. So that is let's get the name absolutely accurately, the Classic Silk Open Cardi by Pam Allen. And the last bit I'll say about this, famous last words, I say there, I won't be doing that again. Guess what? I've been thinking of knitting this again. I just love it so much and I wear it so much and the summer has arrived. So I'll talk about my spring has arrived, but it feels a bit like summer. I'll talk about my spring and summer plans in a couple of videos time, but this might be on the cards for that because it's just that, and again, one of the videos I did early on was knitting it twice. I think the first thing I did was, and this the opportunity, having learned a few things now, almost a year in, I think it's been about a year of knitting now, knitting garments. Having learned a little, the opportunity to come back to this pattern that I already own and make it again. Obviously, make it in another color, make it, or even, that was so funny when I said another color. Actually, I was telling myself I would knit it in exactly the same. There's something about knitting it in something light for summer and it goes with everything. And, I have a lot of blue, I have a lot of colors. So it means I can throw it on over something colorful and it doesn't clash and it goes with whatever blue pants or jeans I'm wearing. So I was actually thinking, because I'll show you some yarn that I have when I do my spring and summer knitting plans. But I was thinking, maybe I could make it in blue. And I was like, nah, I don't want to make it in blue. I was like, and I'd probably make it in exactly the same yarn. I would order the same Knotty Habit yarn. It's a wonderful base, wonderful, wonderful base. That's what I'm wearing. I've got one finished object, so let's start there. It's a quick one, because I told you about this already, So I told you that I made a pair for my husband. I did. And then I made a pair for myself. I know they look exactly the same because I used the exactly same yarn, but I've now made a pair of the Woodland Warmers for myself. It's a super quick knit. We went away a couple of weekends ago with the kids and with like great family friends of ours, and my husband, decided he would drive, and I didn't object. And so it was a 3-hour drive. I made one going up and one going down. And that was nice. Summer is coming to an end, but even so, so definitely when it was still cold, I wore this plenty, just around the house. And even now, some days, I work from home and I'm up in the morning early, or I'm writing early in the morning, and I just put these on to keep my feet toasty. So I may put them away eventually. And I was wondering, I could make a slightly summery pair, because it's just something nice to have on your feet in the house. So I could use a much lighter yarn maybe, but I'd have to jimmy the pattern. Let's see. But I really recommend this pattern. It's paid for, but it's worth it. And like I said, I think I'll be making a lot of gifts from this pattern because it's fairly easy to do and just kind of pleasant. I think anybody who received this as a gift would be very happy to. It's cute and it's pleasant. So that's my one finished object. I want to talk about my one and only work in progress. Well, there are two works in progress. I'm monogamous in my knitting. I just want to focus in on a project and finish the project. That's kind of how my mind works. So I don't love jumping back and forth unless I need to, let's say, mid-project block something, and then while it's drying, I have something else. Or there's something super complicated, but I want to sit and watch a movie and then I want something easy to work. So practical and convenience, I might have more than one, usually not more than two, but mostly, and even when I have not more than two, like I did now, and I'll tell you about them shortly, I still focused on one, and I'm waiting to finish it and then get back to the other whip. So what do I have on my needles? It's almost done. It's almost done. I actually had hoped that it would be done and I could show it to you today as a finished object. But been a busy week at work, and just didn't have as much knitting time as I would have liked. So I have been knitting, like I said. In fact, I was knitting it when I did the interview with Mincy, because we were knitting together while we spoke, which was sweet, I thought. But now I've progressed quite a bit because I wasn't that far when I was knitting it with her. And I am now fairly far down the line with my Wabi Sabi Khadi by Milena Juhola. It's a really great pattern. It's fairly popular. Let me see. 62 project. It is knit in super bulky yarn. The gauge is 13 stitches by 18 rows, 10 centimeter in stockinette. She has 4 different needle sizes, 6, 5 and 4, and I'll explain in a short while how it all goes. Her sizing is quite good, from 1 to 9, I would say. That's good. And it retails for 7 Swiss francs. The Wabi Sabi Khadi is a modern and feminine take on the classic grandpa cardigan, she says. It's very loose fitting. She says it's for intermediates. There are some short rows, which were lovely to do. I must say, I loved the effect that her short rows gave the pattern. She recommends 50 centimeters of positive ease. I didn't take all of that, partly because, you know me, I was playing yarn chicken. I won again, but, one day I'll get into trouble. And when I do, I will come and report that I took one for the team. But for now, I've been doing okay at yarn chicken. So there's not much else she says there about the pattern itself. There's some lovely pictures, and of course there's some great, I love the toggle buttons. It got these toggle buttons on it, which I like. So let me tell you about the pattern. So I knit it. I say my first note says 50 centimeters positive ease seems like a lot. I aim for 30 and I knit the size 1. And I managed to pretty much get gauge on 6 millimeter needles. So I followed her instructions mostly. I'll explain what I did differently. And I knit it in a yarn I got on sale at Arthur Bales, the recent sale that they had. It is, it's Rowan at Mode, or Mode at Rowan. It's in my lovely trusty color. And this is what it's looking like. And I'm going to put I've been wearing it, through the project. So I'm going to put a few videos up there for you to see me twirling around in it. But this is, I can't tell whether you're seeing anything interesting. This is, I love the boxiness about it. This is the thickest yarn I've ever really knit anything with. It is a bit hard on the hands, the thickness. I don't know that I'd do that in a hurry. I'm quickly finishing this because, of course, the season is gone for this kind of garment, but I didn't want it to wait around till next year. So I wanted to knit it up, and I knew it would be a quick knit, and it really has. This has been a week of knitting for me. And I knit in the evenings, and, this has just been a week of it. So it moves quickly. The short rows are here on the side, and you can kind of see them. I wonder if you can sort of see, there you are. You can see the short rows there. I love the shape that they end up giving it. I love the long ribbing. You know that about me. Very neat. I kind of love my tubular. I think my tubular is not doing too badly. I love tubular. I think I just like anything rhythmic and slightly technical and mechanical, so I love the kind of just the meditative nature of tubular, and I could do tubular all night long if you wanted. Standard stockinette. What's interesting about it are these lateral braids. So this is one sleeve. The lateral braids come up every now and again. This is how far I am. So this is what I have left, just the end of the sleeve, and then I'm done. Then I block, and I put the buttons in. I'll show you the buttons in a moment. And that lateral braid is also there, and then right there at the bottom before the ribbing. What did I change? Let me do what I changed first. My arms are pretty long. So I understood that I was supposed to probably knit till here and do a lateral braid and then this is where my hand is, I'm showing you here. Another lateral braid here, because it's the same number of length you do, then a lateral braid, then another length, then a lateral braid, and then you start the ribbing. I needed to knit longer for my length of arm because I was knitting the size 1 because I didn't mind something, it's not at all snug as you see from the pictures, but I didn't want something blowy, plus I didn't have enough yarn. I had exactly 800 grams of yarn, so I must have had like 10 balls. I think I had 10 balls, and it looked like it would be tight. In the end, I actually have a substantial ball left. Like I think I will, even after the sleeve, have like maybe enough to make the woodland loafers or something, warmers. But I wasn't sure, and I was getting scared. I was even saying, I'm going to have to make the sleeve short. So this is the thing with playing yarn chicken. You don't have peace of mind. So maybe I should stop that and grow up and just buy extra yarn and not be so, I don't know what it is. What would you call that? Frugal? Anyway, I realized I needed to knit a much longer sleeve, and then I didn't. And then I'd actually watched the knitting page. I think her name is, she talked about knitting her wabi-sabi, and she said by the time she got to the sleeves, she was fed up with lateral braid. Again, of course, I love lateral braid. Again, rhythmic. I love that rhythmic business. So I don't mind the lateral braid. She didn't do any at all on the sleeve. She was just like, I'm done with lateral braid. But I did the first one. And then I just thought I'll just skip the last one because I thought it might look weird doing it here because then it's not the even distance, which feels like it's a kind of a feature of the pattern. So I would just then knit till the right thing and then do the thing. And I kind of like that. I don't think you miss it if you don't know the pattern. So that's one change. And I ended up knitting quite a bit longer to match where I wanted the things to go. What else? Something that was interesting for me, I don't know if it's the same for you, and I have noticed it, that my sleeve gauge is often tighter than my body gauge. And it might have to do with, especially maybe with knitting back and forth with a cardigan, but I found even when knitting a pullover, the in the round for a sleeve and the in the round for the body are not the same gauge. So it might be I'm holding it tighter or something. But when I noticed that, I decided to go up a needle size. So I actually knit the sleeves in a 7mm needle, which means that everything else I then did. So she has you use 3 needles. You knit the body in a 6mm. You knit the lateral braid in a 4mm, and you knit the ribbing in a 5mm, or the other way around. I'm not sure. But so for this, with the sleeves, I knit the sleeves in a 7mm, the lateral braid in a 5mm, and then I actually knit the ribbing in a 5mm as well because I wanted it to cinch in a little bit, not too much. Still quite nice and wide. Last 2 things I want to say about this. The cast on. The cast on is a crochet cast on. I've done a few of those. Andrea Mowry has a wonderful video that's, I think, really straightforward. Very Pink Knits has a video that's very straightforward about crochet cast on. So I love the crochet cast on where you do it with the needle. So you don't have to go back and pick up stitches. I know crochet cast on to be something you do with waste yarn. So very diligently, I did the crochet cast on with waste yarn. And it was there all along, because you do that crochet cast on and then you're off and you knit and you knit and you knit. You knit the back and then you pick up it, it's a whole. Anyway, as we're getting to the end and I'm reading the instructions, I'm like, at what point do you go back and do something with this crochet cast on? Until I realized you don't do anything with the crochet cast on. And I wonder if I made a mistake. So the pattern doesn't say on waste yarn. But I wondered if that was a little bit unfair, because I think most people will assume that a crochet cast on, most people, I don't know, I'm kind of intermediate. I definitely assumed that it would be with waste yarn, and that later you'll take it off and do whatever you do. But I wonder if you should just have done the crochet cast on with your yarn. Anyway, I didn't. So I had this crochet cast on basically embedded in the project, this waste yarn embedded in the project that I didn't want in the project because I used this other color. And I remember thinking, oh, what am I going to do? I was way almost done at this stage. I'm not going to go back to the very first step. So what did I do? I got a crochet hook and I simply crochet hooked my way through that cast on and I pulled out the crochet cast on. So it's still, I think, what it ought to be, which is this ridge that the top has. I love that pattern feature. Try and show it. But it might not be as perfect as it ought to be because I had to kind of jimmy it backwards. No matter. I think no matter. And I don't know that anybody would notice, but I know that there was that bit of story to it. And then the last thing, pardon the crunchy sounds. You only need 5 buttons. I got these. Let me see if I can show you this. These beautiful toggle buttons made of wood. And I wanted it to be, I just wanted that really light color to contrast with how dark this is. I think it's going to be nice. So I need to finish the sleeve. I need to put in the buttons. I definitely want to block it because I'm hoping it's, because I was worried about yarn chicken, I probably didn't knit it as long as I could have, but this will stretch plenty, so I think it'll be fine in the end. And I guess once it's finished, I will parade it here one more time, but I won't spend too much time talking about it when I do that because I have talked plenty about it today. So that's my work in progress, almost done, Wabi Sabi Khadi. Yeah, I have 2 other things on the needle. I'll do this one last. You don't know what I'm talking about, but you don't have to know. Let me talk about this. I bought some silk yarn, not a lot of it, about 900 meters of lace silk yarn, because I want to dye it. It's natural, it's undyed. I want to dye it, and I'm really curious to work with silk and see how I can dye silk. And so I bought that, and when I bought it, the place I bought it from sent this free stuff back. So these are 4 balls of, I think it's Natural Yarns, is I think the brand. This is Eco Cotton. It's very sweet, these very sweet colors. And I decided that I would make an animal for a little baby that's being born in my circle. And so I started making Mr. Russello the elephant, which is a pattern by Svetlana Kondratova. It's a very sweet pattern. I think it's free. Let me check. It's free. And I'll put a picture of it. It's very sweet. And this is I've just started. This is what I was saying to you, I've made the trunk. I mean, it's really early days, but I could sit in an afternoon and finish it. It's not tedious at all. It's a very small little creature. I hope I have enough yarn, but even if I don't, I have enough scraps around of similar colors to just complement that. But this is the trunk. I'm doing my own changing. I'm just following my own. I'm following instructions, but doing my own changing of colors. And I'll show you, there's not much to see except a trunk. You don't even know it's a trunk. You have to take my word for it. The next thing they have you do are the legs, and then you do the body. I had gone back and forth, and you know this from a previous episode. I'd said, oh, okay, I'm not making any more socks for the boys. The socks keep falling into holes. We're beyond that. I'd had this wonderful experience pulling out old socks that had fallen into holes and had been repaired way too many times. So I rescued this yarn that way. I rescued this yarn that way. I got quite a few balls of yarn that I rescued, and I made these 2 packages, like one for each kid. And I thought I would make socks, but then I thought, no, maybe I'll make slippers. And I thought, no, I'm not doing that. I'm gonna make toys. And of course, if I'm making the elephant, they're gonna say, oh, Mama, make me something. They didn't want the elephant, and so they liked, when I showed it to them, the support chicken. So let's have a look at the support chicken, which is a very popular pattern, emotional support chicken. And it's a pattern by Annette Corsino. It retails for $6.50. It's a lovely pattern. It's knit in worsted weight, she says. I mean, this is all fingering. So I'm going to make my own version. Maybe I'll make one that's much smaller. Maybe I'll hold 2 together or 3. And then I don't know if I even have enough grams. In terms of yardage, she's saying that you need between 133 to 229 meters of worsted weight wool, and you knit it in 4.5 millimeter needles, and the gauge is 16 stitches in a garter pattern of 10 centimeters. So, and there's a tutorial available. I'm just seeing, she has a link to that. It's a very popular pattern. It's, exactly, 12,383 projects. It's a big deal, and it's been a big hit, and I've seen lots of people knit it, and I thought, I'll make an emotional support chicken for each of my children in some of the colors that they love. And this, we have a long story of me knitting animals for the boys, and they still have them and they love them. Not on the needles yet, but should be on the needles soon. A couple of other things will be popping on the needle. The last kind of real warm weather knit I want to make before I get into my spring and summer knitting is the Jaden sweater for my husband, which I talked about in the previous episode. I think I swatched. I haven't even bought the pattern yet. I need to check my swatch against the gauge and see if that's going to be the pattern we go with. And then I will put it on the needles and make that for him. I'm excited to make it. I think it's going to be nice. And it will be the second sweater I'm making for him. The last part of today is I wanted to talk about the Every Beret knit along. If you've joined the knit along and you've signed up on Ravelry, thank you so much. It's really exciting to just be doing something together, and it gives a sense of community. I've posted on the Ravelry group, just welcoming everybody. I also posted some updates. So a quick recap of this project. We are doing the hashtag Every Beret knit along. It's a cow. It's I propose a pattern, which is the Barely a Beret pattern by Sarah Wolf. But you can knit any pattern you want. We are agnostic when it comes to what pattern you choose. You can crochet it, if you can, I don't know, you could do something else with it. You could felt it, whatever, like just join us. That's why it's called Every Beret. Every beret is welcome. And so I just thought it'd be fun. We're going to be knitting it through, making it through the month of September. Of course, you can begin the project whenever, but you do need to end it by the 30th. We need to all end by the 30th. So we're done by the 30th. And the reason, we can always do another one, by the way, but I do want to close this one off because we have prizes. Okay, we have prizes. Mincy Fun Sale of Naughty Habit has agreed to adjudicate and select a winner. Of course, I will exclude my beret from the selection, but of all the other participants, she will select a winner, and that winner will be winning some yarn, some of Naughty Habit yarn, which is glorious yarn. So like I thought maybe she'll decide, because she's gifting the yarn, which is very kind of her. She'll decide what she wants to gift, and I will post that yarn to you if you live in South Africa. I'm sorry that it's a little bit of like it's not just a clean, straightforward price for everybody all over the world, but I can definitely afford to post a South African some yarn because we have some means to do that. But I have no way to really get yarn to you if you live anywhere else in the world, because there's no reliable means, and I would have to maybe use DHL, and it probably will be a little bit above my budget. So please bear with me on that, and apologies. But if you're participating and you win and you don't happen to live in South Africa, there's a prize for you as well. I will buy a pattern of your choice from the amazing collection of patterns by Numa Ndlovu, who's our local amazing Joburg-based knitwear designer. So she's got amazing patterns. Like you just have to, you just go there and it's like, a kid in a sweet shop. So you could pick whatever you wanted and I will purchase it for you and send it to you. So those are the prizes. It's kind of exciting having prizes, and you'd have to have your entry in by the 30th. And then, so how do you get your entry in? If you join the Ravelry group, you can get it in there, by posting there. If you are just on Instagram, you hashtag so that I can find it by the 30th. I'm new at CALS. A very kind viewer said, just make the Ravelry, group, because I think I was a bit intimidated about it, but she was like, just go ahead and do it. It's a nice way to be able to chat to each other. And I just did it. That encouraged me, so suggestions welcome. If you want to tell me how to do the finale, maybe for the finale, I record a video and then we post all of our images under the video in the comments or something like that. You can't put pictures. You can't put pictures in YouTube comments. So whatever. We'll work it out. We have time through the month of September. But that's exciting. There are prizes. There's a community of people doing this. Some people have been like, I love berets. Some people have been like, I don't like berets. I don't wear berets. They don't suit me. I mean, I thought I wasn't a beret person until I made one for my friend Zuki and tried it on. I was like, hello, I could rock this. So, couple of things. I promised that I would do a tutorial of the beret. Listen, guys, I tried to film the tutorial. The key with the tutorial, I think, is you need an overhead shot. And I thought I had like a setup that could do overhead shots. It wasn't great. And I thought, this isn't working. There are people who do phenomenal tutorials. It's not my jam. I don't quite have the tech. I'm not set up for it. So I felt that was a waste of my time and yours. So I stopped filming that. And I'm now going back against my word and saying I will not be filming a tutorial. What I will do, I think you need to be a basic knitter. So you need to know how to knit and purl, and you need to know how to cast on. Let me just say that. But I will make a list of all the techniques in this pattern, and I will link them, link those techniques to excellent tutorials that I recommend. So that if you're making the pattern and you're not sure about something, I will link a bunch of excellent tutorials. So that's my counter offer. And so what you're looking at here was what I started knitting when making the tutorial. I'm knitting it out of this wonderful yarn that I had left over from a previous project. I had just this one ball. I hope it's enough. I think it'll be enough. Let's see. It's a good test. It's looking a little not enough, but we'll find out. If it's not, I'll do something with the top. I'll do something. I don't think it's a big deal. If I think it's not going to be enough, I could start striping it. Goodness knows I have enough random yarn around that I could start striping it. But I've started my ribbing. I'm literally at the place where I need to increase and do the body of the beret, and then at some point you start decreasing. So that's going to be fun. But look how quick this is. That's it for today. That's just an update on where I'm at. I'm very excited about the CAL. Please join the CAL. If you don't, join on the 1st, join on the 2nd. If you don't join on the 2nd, join on the 3rd. If you can't join on the 3rd, join on the 4th. In other words, join whenever. Do it before the 30th. Finish before the 30th. Be sure to post it somewhere so we can find it. You can even email me. Just my email is down below in the comments section. Join the Ravelry group. I think I'm actually enjoying that. I'm probably the chattiest person there at the moment, but it's a really lovely group of knitters and crocheters. Some people are crocheting, and I love that. I love that it's diverse. Everyone's welcome. Thank you so much. Thanks for being here. Thanks for just, participating in this community with me. Thanks for listening. If you've subscribed, thanks for subscribing. Hit the bell so that I really intend to mostly, sorry, I know that sounds like I'm trying to get out of the promise, post every week, and I have been since I started. I have a few trips coming up, so it might be tricky when I'm traveling to be able to record and post, but let's see. I might try or do short little videos, who knows. But every week I like to kind of clock in and just say, hi, I'm here, and I'm still knitting away and loving it. Take care. See you soon.